I call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Northfield Public School Board. Today is Tuesday, October 14, 2025, and the time is 6 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The recording of this meeting will be posted on the district website as soon as possible. Welcome members of the community here tonight to observe the important work being done on behalf of all school district stakeholders. Dr. Hillman, we have some items in the table file. Will you update us?
Yes, we have several items in the table file this evening, including the land acknowledgement statement, which will be read by Corey Butler here in just a moment, and then consent agenda items, including appointments, increase, decrease, changes in assignment, some leaves of absences, and retirements and resignations.
Okay. If there are no objections, we will add these items to the agenda as we move forward. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented? Moved by Amy and second by Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right. Vice Chair Corey Butler will now read the land acknowledgement statement.
Northfield School District recognizes that we reside on the homeland of the Wapakute tribe of the Dakota Nation. We acknowledge the wrongdoings, previous and ongoing, and strive to repair and strengthen our relations with Indigenous peoples.
Thank you. Kelly, do we have any public comment? All right, that was item 3. We'll move on to item 4, announcements and recognitions.
Yes, we have a few announcements this evening. The community school report is complete, and each board member received a copy this evening at their place at the dais. The report details the results of the 11th year of community school programming. It includes data from all 4 sites, Greenville Park, Spring Creek, Bridgewater, and Northfield Middle School. The report has been shared with all elementary and middle school families and community partners. And really thank you to all who assisted in putting together this report's compilation. It's really a great resource to show the impact that the community school has had within Northfield and specifically at the schools where it's represented. We want to congratulate the Greenville Park PTO. They recently had their fundraiser, and boy, was it a huge success. They raised $34,500. And so we want to thank everyone who donated, participated, and helped make that event really special. Just really appreciate the school spirit at Greenville Park. Really, this is a first. It's a historic, actually. That word's used a lot, but this is very true that it's historic. Congratulations to the girls tennis team for advancing to the Class AA state tournament for the first time in the program's history. And so we wish the Raiders luck as they begin the state tournament on October 21st. It will be held at the Lifetime Center at Bloomington South. So the Lifetime Fitness Bloomington South facility. We also want to congratulate the FFA Dairy Evaluation Team. They took first out of 46 teams at the University of Wisconsin River Falls Falcon Ag Challenge, and this is a state qualifying event. So really want to shout out to Tavis Ballstedt, who was first overall out of 111 competitors. So congratulations to the Dairy Evaluation Team. Our FFA just, in just such a short time, just quite a juggernaut, and really proud of all of the work that those students are doing. And continuing on with the FFA theme, I want to congratulate Josie Keenan for being selected as the 25-26 FFA and the USA Reporter. Josie is one of 250 FFA members from across the United States and one of 5 in Minnesota to be chosen for that honor. So again, congratulations to Josie and the FFA for their success this fall and what appears to be every other month. So congratulations.
Excellent. Board members, do you have any announcements or recognition? Okay. Our next item is items for discussion and reports. And first up, we have Bridgewater Elementary School Improvement Showcase. And interim principal Hope Langston will provide the board with that school successes and highlights for the last academic year and the focus areas for 25-26. Welcome, Hope.
Whoa, who was up here last? I'm definitely not that tall. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Bridgewater community and Nancy, I'm happy to be here presenting the Bridgewater Elementary School Improvement Showcase, highlighting some great achievements last year and also what we're looking ahead to accomplishing this year. Nancy, I just want to give a shout out because she did review all this with me and offer her insights as well. So, and also to Adam Danielson, who also offered his insights. So it's been a great partnership. We start always with the strategic plan and our vision that grounds everything we do. We also look for ways to strengthen our strategic commitments in all that we are doing at Bridgewater. And then, of course, we measure what matters, and the district benchmarks help. They're our guideposts, right, for everything that we do with our kids and our community. So, purpose of this plan, we want to share some successes, identify goals that we would be working towards this year. We want to obviously align with our district strategic plan. We want to inspire action in our staff, which the staff did review this plan last week at our staff meeting. And then we want to align our efforts so that we can prepare every student for lifelong success. So 24-25 highlights. I love digging into that data, as you know. And so our math momentum, we had very strong 3rd and 4th grade results, and that's not to discount our 5th grade results, which were solid. However, our 3rd and 4th grade results stood out this year. And it's especially important because we were in year 1 of Bridges adoption, as you know, which can sometimes, take some focus and shift from traditional practices to new ways of instruction. And yet we still saw some great results. So that's a win. We also saw some incredible attendance wins at Bridgewater, which we'll talk about. Actually, I'm going to talk about it now. The attendance wins, and shout out to Carrie Duba for helping me with this data, that we had an average consistent attendance rate for the 24-25 school year of 95%, which means on any given day, 95% on average of our students were there. The percentage of students who were chronically absent declined from 12% in the 23-24 school year to 7.3% last year. And that is due to some solidly aligned efforts of that Bridgewater team. That's their MTSS team. That's Adam Danielson leading the attendance team. That is Cindy Santa and her efforts as a family engagement navigator, and really everybody working together to quickly intervene and respond when they see an attendance concern. So shout out to Bridgewater staff for all their work on that. They use a data forward building meeting format, which means they're not waiting for someone else to respond to the data. They are looking at the data and taking it to the teacher, to the family, so that they can get out ahead of some of these concerns. They don't wait, they act immediately, and that obviously had some really impactful results. So the last piece, sustain and deepen positive employee and family experience. That really is tuning into our survey results. And we'll talk about that when we get to that slide. So these are the 3 highlights we want to talk about. And again, to me, it was about momentum. That's the word that came to my mind in all 3 of these areas. So let's carry on. Okay, so the math results for grade 3 and 4. Over on the left in the graph, you see the proficiency rates. The darker blue is grade 3, lighter blue grade 4. And it's interesting, Amy, I'm guessing you probably already did this to carry that cohort forward. And there's just some interesting results with that. But you can see that 3rd grade has just been consistently strong. And when we talk about reaching that 80% proficiency as a district goal, 3rd grade is almost there. And this is huge, right? Because that's a hard threshold to hit. 4th grade, we are just continue to be proud of their efforts to stay with it and get after it. And that team is very reflective about their data and working together and how they can respond to student need. Then I also took it, because I love this file, and looked at what are the state results. And so there are 697 independent school districts. So oftentimes in my prior role, I stood up here and told you the district context. This is the school context, and another tab in that file where you can look at every elementary school in the state. So again, we filter for 01 districts testing 10 or more students. So grade 6 higher than 86.4% of statewide schools, and grade 4 higher than 88.5%. So that's impressive. But also in that data, you can look at demographic groups. I tend to pay closest attention to our FRP student proficiency, because our cell sizes in other demographic groups are so small at any given grade level, it can really make those fluctuations quite dramatic. And the third grade FRP proficiency rate, higher than 75% of schools testing, and grade 4, 78% essentially. And I just want to point out, having had a history of world's best workforce where we were asked to look at this metric every year, this is tremendous, because we used to be down and we're higher than 50% of FRP. I know, Dr. Hillman, you probably remember that. So to be hitting the mid 70s, mid to upper 70s shows progress as a system in meeting the needs of our FRP students. Attendance wins, we just talked about this a little bit, but we were the first building in the district to reach that state goal of 90% of our students present 90% of the time. Again, that was for the 24-25 school year. As you know, that accountability measure is asking that our students attend school 90% or higher of our days. So this is a big win. And again, we see that chronic absence decline from 23-24 to 24-25. So really great wins. We talked about why that is just a moment ago. But having kids in school helps their social emotional well-being, helps them reach grade level benchmarks. And it also means I put all students connected to the community, because if you are in school and coming, you are connected to the community. And I think those 3 benchmarks really apply in this case, and really are working in tandem to help students succeed. So parent and caregiver experience, highlight 3 really has 2 parts. So Bridgewater saw their highest overall score in 2025. And those 2 greatest strengths in that 4.27 score, I am treated with respect at the school, and I believe that the school is clean and well maintained. We're going to talk about how we're going to look at this in the goals for next year. So I'm not going to lead with that yet. And then also the employee engagement piece that was also at a 3-year high of 3.88. And those 2 greatest strengths identified by the Bridgewater staff. I have a clear understanding of the mission and goals of my organization. Actually, I put 3 because the bottom 2 were tied. I would recommend the parents select my organization to serve their child, which is fantastic. And I believe that leaders in my immediate work environment are genuinely concerned for my welfare. So that is a shout out to the team at Bridgewater and their care for each other. So our goals for this year, again, the staff weighed in on these, gave some good feedback last week, which we can take moving forward. 80% of our students will meet grade level benchmarks in each subject area. We know this is a stretch goal. That's okay. This is where we want to end up. And we know that in order to do that, we need consistently good instruction of grade level content for all students. We need our MTSS teams to be high functioning, which at Bridgewater I've been very impressed with their MTSS work. We need effective PLC work, and we're certainly seeing that in our visits on Wednesdays. The attendance monitoring, just continue that strong practice at Bridgewater. The day-to-days are happening. They're coming up at Bridgewater by grade level. And that gives teachers, teams a chance to get together during the day to really dig into their grade level data and talk about responses to that data. And then also the use of EduClimber, which is helping our teachers, and we expect to increase understanding and utilization of that tool this coming year. We know that with a strong data warehouse, it makes decision making more efficient for teachers. And so we're really excited by the use of EduClimber. Second goal, we want to build the employee engagement survey results. One of the things that Nancy and I discussed in looking through the data is that the participation rate wasn't particularly high. So we discussed that with the staff, that obviously we could be going after the wrong issues if our participation remains low. We want as many of the staff to respond. So we have a goal increasing participation, again, going to the people who are involved in the process, which is the building leadership teams, and asking for their ideas to help increase participation. Bridgewater staff, I give a shout out to them, because guess what? They're not shy about sharing their ideas, and that's a plus. Also, just utilize collaborative meeting and shared decision making. We've done that to solve a couple of problems this fall. It's been really well done by the teams using this collaborative meeting and problem solving approach. So we want to continue that to tackle this issue of increasing participation, and then also going after the lowest scoring item on that survey, which is I have the opportunity to provide input on decisions that affect my job. And really, we talked about two pieces of that. One is actually building structures to allow teams to come together to solve problems and offer input, but also having greater clarity about which decisions are able to be approached with a collaborative input, and which might not be, right? But if people feel clear about which decisions are which type, they feel better, and they so those are just some things that came up. I thought this picture, I just want to explain this a little bit, because Krista actually is the Bridgewater staff member. Natalie and Pam used to be a Bridgewater. Oh, so did Natalie, actually. But I love this picture because when we talk about employee engagement, this was the unpacking of the Bridges materials in the Bridgewater Media Center. So think about it, they did this at every school. And it was boxes and boxes and boxes of materials, but it was all three schools teams working together to help each other set up those Bridges materials in the fall, in August of 2024, so the beginning of the 24-25 school year. But that kind of approach, where we had lots of input about how best to do that adoption and how best to implement it. So I love this picture, and I just had to put it in there, even though it's not 100% current Bridgewater. It just says a lot. And then improving parent caregiver experience survey results. Again, we would like to increase participation. We feel like that is something we can do by working with teams to generate new ideas about how to increase participation. We got some great ones last week. So that's initially for the same reason I talked about with the employee engagement. Like, we need more responses to really understand how folks are feeling. We talked about last week, the second bullet point, about a very successful way that Bridgewater tackles parent participation. And you all know what that is Boosterthon. Bridgewater raises an incredible amount every year. And they do that because pretty much daily that data is put in front of their families. Hey, we got another X number of dollars today. Oh, this happened. We got donors from Alaska, or we got donors from Hawaii. It is constant updates. And so they already have a model for increasing participation. We just want to move it over to this. And then finally, it is just talking about new ways to make it clear what feedback is about their children's progress, because you can see in the blue box, I receive positive phone calls, emails, or notes about my child was the lowest scoring item. And we believe that there's a way to do that, partially by helping parents learn what feedback is and where that feedback occurs, because it's not just about conference reports or report cards. It's also in daily seesaw messages, or it's in phone calls, or it's in emails, but people may not realize that that's actually feedback. The graphic on this is powerful because this comes from EduClimber. And what this is Bridgewater Kids. So when teachers log into EduClimber, I love this photo aspect. Viewpoint wasn't even close to offering this. What this reminds us all is behind every data point in EduClimber is a child. And so I love this because that's our community. These are our stakeholders. These are the families. And these are their prized possessions that they're sending us every day. You might see some head icons in there. Those are some of our little sweet kindergartners whose pictures weren't uploaded yet. But I love that the graphs in EduClimber can be made with faces, because I think it's powerful. So speaking of momentum, this happened to be a first grade field trip, but I love the picture because I think it screams momentum. And that's all about diving in. And that's what we do. All right, I'll take questions.
Thank you, Hope. Hey, board members, do you have any questions at this?
Welcome, Hope.
Thanks.
First, I want to thank you because I know you thought you were going to retire and you ended up back working and filling in a very important role that we needed. And so thank you very much. I hope you do get a chance to find some time for yourself soon, but we're so happy to have you still around.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to congratulate all of Bridgewater staff on, first of all, the attendance rate is phenomenal. I'm very excited about that. We've been talking about attendance for a while now, and to see that Bridgewater's gotten it figured out, that's great. Also, the test scores, they're right there. I don't think that 80%, while it is a stretch goal, it doesn't seem like it's nearly as much a stretch goal for the Bridgewater students as it may be for some of our other schools. So congratulations to everyone there.
Thanks.
I just had a little clarification, a question on your FRP proficiency rates. Was that comparing our FRP students to the whole student body of the other school, or was that FRP to FRP?
FRP to FRP.
Okay.
So each school and each district has demographic group proficiency rates. So it is comparing, and it's interesting kind of to see the state file, because we also are looking at tested FRP cell sizes of 10 plus, right? Which brings down the number of schools in that 697, because not all of them have FRP cell sizes of greater than 10. But yes, it is comparing our FRP group against their FRP group in that grade level.
Okay, so we're still going good, but there's still more room for improvement there. But
Absolutely. But again, after watching the FRP proficiency rates for many years and seeing that school, that's that state level report of all schools. This shows improvement for us, and I'm just happy to see those gains.
And while we're on the slide, I have one more question about the cohorts.
hmm
Why do you think there's the drop from 3rd to 4th grade cohort-wise? Have you thought about that at all?
I have thought about that, and all I can say is that we have to think about the MCA from year to year as a clean slate, because it's testing 3rd grade standards in 3rd grade, 4th grade standards in 4th grade. And while a cohort may have been proficient in 3rd grade standards, they might not be as proficient in 4th grade standards. And we have actually been encouraged to look at MCA results that way. So while we like to see the cohort travel through our system and stay equally as proficient or better each year, it's really a whole separate set of standards that they're being tested on each year, even though the standards are building, but it is still a new measure for each year that they take the MCA. Does that make sense?
That does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Maggie.
Thank you for sharing the photo of the students in EduClimber. That's really great to see. Can you talk a little bit more about how teachers might use EduClimber to reach those 80% benchmark goals?
Yeah, there's so many exciting features, and I am not the district expert. I'm going to give a shout out to Carrie Duba, who's really dug in deep on EduClimber. I'm going to give one example that was not possible for us using Viewpoint, or Skyward to some degree, but it's a little more cumbersome for teachers to use Skyward as a data mining system. Students who are receiving interventions, whether that's reading core, math core, ADSYS, title, right? We had not a clear way to track that in Viewpoint. Even in Skyward, it's a very manual approach that the intervention has to go into Skyward, enter a record. Here, you can flag a student as receiving an intervention, and that flag stays with that student, and you can see the history of that flag very easily. So we've already had comments from teachers that when they're doing their day-to-days, for example, and they export a spreadsheet of their grade level data, there's a column that already says, hey, these kids are getting this intervention. Now, I can't tell you how powerful that is after being one who built composite spreadsheets by hand, and you'd have to go through each kid and say, okay, Maggie got ADSYS, Corey got title, and you're literally entering in a cell. That entry is happening, but it's much more streamlined, and it's not happening from the teachers, but the teachers get that view. So if they're looking at their grade level data in a PLC or at a data day, it's there. So that's one way. The second way is the customization of EduClimber that allows you to look at the data many different ways, and it includes report card data. It's going to include their SSIS data. It's going to include their test scores. It's going to include some classroom level data, and all of that is streamlined into the student's profile. And it allows for just, I think, a much more comprehensive, holistic look at each student versus, Viewpoint was their test scores, right? And their attendance, but the attendance was hidden way down at the bottom and you had to go, it's superior. Is it perfect? No, there's no perfect platform. We know that, right? But I think it's going to be a game changer for us.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Question or comment? All right.
Hi, Jeff.
I called on Corey, and then we'll go
Oh,
on.
sorry. Corey.
I have a quick question. I think it's a quick question. I know as time goes by, we have more parents and caretakers who are opting their children out of MCA testing. How does that impact the overall percentage? I thought I read something the other day that it counts as a zero. It's not just removed. I don't know if you can clarify that or not.
They have not, at least they didn't last year. Maybe they're doing that this year. I don't know. They have not actually, They threatened to do that prior to COVID, or when say threatened, it was going to be part of the accountability measure prior to COVID, then COVID hit. It is not affecting our denominator. So if you look on the report, the MDE report card, the public facing, you will still see amount of students tested. You then open another accordion folder, another tab, and you can see participation rates. I will tell you, and I looked at it again last year, we still have very high participation rates. We don't even hit the 80s participation rate until you get to the high school. Our elementary participation rates are routinely 95 plus. Middle school is high. We have not seen massive opt-outs, and I want to believe that that is because we have a unified approach in our district to sharing the data with parents and helping parents understand why these metrics are a good measure of our system and helps us respond better to their student needs. Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for filling in, and sooner or later, you're going to get to enjoy your retirement. So
Soon, as in tomorrow. No, tomorrow's my last day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for your work.
What I'm doing next? Oh, yes. So the transition plan is this. Shane Byer, who, as you all know, is phenomenal. He will be stepping into this role officially starting on Monday, but tomorrow he's going to spend the day with me at Bridgewater. Just kind of, he already has spent one day there, but tomorrow we're going to kind of do some other things that we didn't get to do last Thursday. But he will be stepping into the role of interim until Nancy returns. And I just think he's going to continue the great work that's already being done there.
Hope I have two easy questions. One is regarding attendance. When we first started, we learned a lot about how people code different absences. Can you just remind us that in our district, we have a standardized process for recording absences?
Yeah, I would say that this has been a multi-year process to get, starting with when it first became an accountability measure prior to, I think it was right around COVID when attendance was added, to get people coding similarly so that the system data is consistent from building to building to building to building. Then Carrie Duba has just done a masterful job along with Melissa Hansen, the family engagement navigators, kind of carrying that work forward to make the coding even more consistent. As you know, like how we were marking tardies was different building to building, and also just in tapping into how districts are measuring this around the state has given us some insights. And we knew this was a problem when we saw some publicly reported data that was clearly not, we felt ours was accurate. We did not feel other districts were accurate. And Carrie and I had a great discussion with Michael Diedrich about this. And I think we're going to see greater oversight at the state level for consistent attendance reporting. They're already starting that. And again, that work was disrupted by COVID. I think they're circling back around to it to make sure that when you look at publicly reported data and Northfield has an attendance rate and Faribault has an attendance rate, we can reasonably expect that they're reporting similarly, right? And that hasn't been the case. We have done a lot of work, but in some ways that made us quite different than some of our peer districts. So they're still continuing to look at consistency, but great gains have been made, and that's due to the work of the attendance teams.
Excellent. And then the other question was about, remind me when the surveys are sent out, the parent and the employee surveys.
So
Spring, like I don't need an exact date, just
Yeah, I can address that. So we've done it different ways over the years, but over the last several years, we're standardizing the employee survey right after Thanksgiving. So that window is a couple of weeks after the Thanksgiving holiday, but before the winter break holiday. We get the data back then right after the new year and are able to use time to be able to create action plans. We have standardized doing the parent survey at the end of the first semester. So typically right after the end of semester one, we feel that that gives enough time for parents to have had an experience during the year. And then we can use that data again, we usually get that back. It's open for 2 weeks. Takes a little bit to get the data back, but we usually have that by end of February.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your report and thank you for your service. Your absence, I know, is going to be felt.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, next we have the Middle School Improvement Showcase, and Principal Greg Delano will provide the board with an overview of the middle school successes and highlights for the last academic year and the focus areas for 25-26. Welcome, Greg.
Not quite as short as Hope, but not up here either. So, all right. Here we go. All right.
Close to.
Where is it?
It was just to the next arrow.
Oh, my bad. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So, good evening, and always love coming to present and speak to everyone. Today's school improvement plan is slightly different than I've done in the past, as you'll see here in a moment. But first, we will start, of course, with grounding ourselves, as Hope said, with our vision of preparing every student for lifelong success by developing critical thinkers who are curious and ready to engage in our society. The 6 strategic commitments are what we really ground our work in and what we want a lens for when we make decisions throughout the building district and so forth. And of course, our benchmarks are kind of how we kind of look at ourselves, or how are we doing, so to speak, as we move forward. But we will start this evening by going a little bit backwards. Well, one more slide, sorry. School improvement plan, our purpose is we're going to share some success stories, which is exciting, identify our new goals, and again, hopefully, I believe you will see how the new goals and what we're doing at the middle school is aligning with our district strategic plan. And of course, the action plans also that follow. So as we look at last year, looking at our report from last year, we had a couple goals that were around classroom instruction, implementing AVID strategies, as well as high impact strategies. We no longer have AVID, so this will be the last time you get to see the word AVID in a presentation, but looking back, it's okay to do that. And our teachers self-reported that they met the goal about 70% of the time. The hope was that we would be increasing from the previous year the amount of impact strategies and the amount of AVID strategies teachers would use to become more and more of just a common practice. We had started off with, hey, let's just do 1 a quarter. And then we progressed throughout the last couple of years, where last year it was we wanted 2 new strategies in each unit going forward, because it's just good practice. It really pushes our students. And 70% not, it was a little short of what we wanted, but it was still making significant progress than what we did the year before. The other goal we had, the third goal, was that all students feel connected to at least 1 adult. There's 2 different numbers. I chose this one. The 84% are excited to attend at least 1 class. You'll see in another slide that there's 76% of our students reported that they feel connected to an adult, which matches perfectly, but I would argue that the 84% is probably maybe a little closer to more accurate, for the reason being that students, if they are excited to go to a class, the classroom teacher has a big part of that. So I would argue that they are connected to that teacher as well as the content and the class, which is thus why I said that. Overall, I thought the middle school did a really good job with our goals. We made, like I said, significant progress. People were excited about it, and I think they saw some good results. So as you look at highlights, the first highlight we're going to look at is something that I'm very proud of, and the middle school should be very proud of, and quite frankly, the district should be very proud of. And it's something that was not expected. It just kind of caught me by surprise when I first heard about it, but excited nonetheless. And it really shows that the middle school and the district in general, we're doing good things for kids and we're making a difference. So last spring, I was notified that Northfield Middle School had been selected as National Blue Ribbon School. And not only were we selected as a National Blue Ribbon School, but we were selected in the 2 areas that they gave this award to. I went back and I searched long and hard over looking at Minnesota schools that have received this Blue Ribbon distinction. And I could not find a single middle school that met it in both areas. There were a couple elementary schools that did, but we are considered an exemplary high-performing school, as well as an exemplary closing the gap achievement school. That's something I'm proud of. I told our staff earlier last week that they should be very proud of themselves for the work they've done, and the fact that they're being recognized not just at the national level, but also now at the state level. Well, caveat as at the bottom of the slide, the day that this was supposed to become public, our federal government canceled the program. And unfortunately, we wouldn't get recognized by the Department of Ed, but our state has kind of picked up the reins on that and is planning on recognizing schools who were awarded this terrific Blue Ribbon Award. So more to come as we get more details, but they gave us permission to be able to share out to the community and to the school board and staff that we did receive this. So very excited for that.
That's wonderful, Greg. We're so proud of the middle school and proud of the work that all of you have done. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. The next one, next highlight is we're very proud of WEB, if you remember, and it stands for Where Everyone Belongs. I played off the acronym with that. But these are the 2 numbers that I gave you before. 76% of our students feeling connected to at least one adult and 84% really being excited to attend a class. I think that's great. We know if schools are excited about anything in school, that our attendance follows, good attendance follows. They want to be there. They like being there. And we know that they become more successful. So we are, excuse me, very excited for that. The next one is very similar. Again, it's all about connecting. It's our students participate in activities, whether it be knowledgeable, whether it be our athletics, whether it be a chamber orchestra. There's multitude of opportunities for all 3 grade levels to participate in something. And I make it really clear with their parents that, hey, it's important that their students, when they come to the middle school, get involved with something. I don't care what it is, just get connected in some way, shape, or form. And if you look back, I went a couple different years, you can see that in 23-24, we had 709 people or students register for activities. Last year was 801. And then this year we're already at 302 for this fall. We get phenomenal participation. I don't see that's changing. You just come to the middle school at 3 o'clock every single day, and our snack shop is loaded with kids getting stuff because they're running the activities of this, that, and the other thing, which is terrific. Our community school or middle school youth center for the last few years are like, we keep trying to get our enrollment to go up. And I explained to them, I said, it's nothing you're doing. It's just that they're all in activities. So they're just, when you have more than 100 people, in this case, 302 this fall participating in activities, there's not a ton of students left then to stay after school for that. But the students that do love those programs, and it's filling a tremendous need for those students as well. The next one, I want to acknowledge our staff. The middle school has a very seasoned staff, with 42% of our teachers have been at the middle school for 20 or more years. 63% have been there for 10 or more years. What this doesn't tell you is that we have a significant number of staff, and I should have probably just counted up, that came to us, were hired, that already had significant experience behind them. So several of them had 8 to 10 years. So if I would have added those in, those percentages would even go up. So I feel that the middle school has a really good mix of our seasoned veterans, people that have been there for quite a while, really connected to the community, as well as some new staff just coming out of college or just starting their careers with new ideas and a lot of energy. I think we have a really good balance. And to me, that is a highlight and a strength. People, we tell our new staff when they come is that people, we're not joking. People, when they show up, they just don't leave unless circumstances change in their life outside of school or work. They love Northfield and they love the middle school and they stay. And this is kind of a testament to that. So those are our highlights. So going now into our new goals. As I kind of alluded to, I took a little bit different angle this year. So, and I really wanted to focus on adult behaviors with the outcome. The plan is the outcome to have increased outcomes at the other end. So our first one, we're going to play off our focus areas of our 80, 90, and 100 focus areas, with 80% of our students meeting academic standards. And in order to get to that, this is the question on our employee engagement survey that I really want to target. And I have the support needed from administration to accomplish my objectives. I feel that if our staff, as I mentioned, being a seasoned staff, the hard work they do, their passion for teaching, that if I can, as an administrator, give them what they need, both supporting wise, material wise, with resources, that I think that they can continue to grow, and we will see the student outcome on the other end. So I've set a goal of trying to increase that by 3% over the next 3 years. And our starting point from last year is our staff either agreed or strongly agreed with this statement, 80% of them. So 80% of our staff did that top 2 box on the employee engagement. So I'm hoping then to get close to that 90 then over the 3-year period. The second goal has to do with SEL. We all know that that's an important part of our students' success journey, or their educational journey. Its academics are important, but they have to have those needs met as well. We have, in the past, we've had that embedded in classes. We continue to have it embedded in our health class, but we are looking at, okay, how can we deliver that with a little bit more uniformed vocabulary, uniform delivery. So the same message, whether you're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, our students get those messages, get those skills very systematically. So we have a group of people, some of them are part of our SEL PLC, along with some other teachers that just have the passion for it, are looking at some possible options for us on how we can maybe do something a little bit different than we've done in the past. To hopefully move that needle and improve that, our SEL outcomes. We will use the SSIS as a measurement tool. We're working on, as a site leadership team, on what that's going to look like, what proficiency actually is. But in the kind of alongside of that, we will keep doing our Pride program. We do our end of the quarter celebration. So I don't want to give the impression that we're not doing anything, but we're looking to what can we do to add and build to that with a little bit more consistency. The kind of the correlation I made with our staff when I presented it to them was when we rolled out Pride, we were all teaching Pride. We all taught what it meant. What it means to be prepared in a classroom, whether you're 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. And along the same lines, let's teach some of those skills for SEL along the same manner. and can that look like within our school day? Again, so everyone's getting consistent message and similar vocabulary. The third goal and final goal is has to do with student safety. It's at 100%. So that 100% of schools or students feeling safe at school. There's some things we want to continue to be visible, whether it be Mr. O'Keefe and myself, our school counselors, our teachers being in the hall. You walk into the middle of school in the morning, you're going to always see several adults are going to greet you. At the end of the day, you're going to see a bunch of adults that are out in our cafeteria or out in our wings, saying, connecting with students, wishing them well, good luck at your game, those types of things. We want to make sure that that is a priority. We want to make sure our classroom teachers and all adults connect with kids on a different level. How are things going? How was your day? What do you have planned for the weekend? Things other than your math, your English, your STEM, those types of things. Ask questions just about them so they feel like they're individuals. Again, as I mentioned, we have to continue, we have to almost double down on the pride and kind of revisit that. It's been strong, it continues to be strong, but I think it could use a little shot in the arm, so to speak, to kind of just build that back up again. And then the last one is one that I don't think can be overstated. When you implement a student citizenship handbook, it is important that your families and your students believe full-heartedly that it's going to be followed. It's not just a piece of paper, but it's a living document that has been approved by all of you. And it's something that we can go to and say, hey, here's the expectations of our district. Here's the expectations we have here at the middle school, and do it in a consistent way. You do it with kindness. You do it with that you're caring. You do it as if you have to talk to a student and a family about this, it's about a behavior. It's about a poor choice. It's not about the individual. And you kind of have to separate those two. And that is extremely important to do. But it's a necessary piece of our families feeling safe. So there's two questions that we're going to lean on with this, on that caregiver survey. The two have to be is, I believe rules are enforced consistently, and I believe the school provides a safe environment. The first one with the rules being enforced consistently on that survey, we scored last spring at a 3.72 out of 5. And with the believing the school provides a safe environment, we had a 4.15. And we just want to build off those things, especially the first one. I would like to see that get up over 4. It's tough to move the needle with those surveys, but I'm optimistic, and I think that with some of the things we can do, we can get there. So that's the hope. And I think with today's climate and stuff, I think safety is a big priority for all of us. And that is what I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate your time and effort into the presentation and sharing your upcoming goals. Board members, do you have any questions at this time? Jeff?
Yeah, thanks for your report. I'm just curious on the 302 kids with activities. I mean, going back a few years, where has that kind of been with the past numbers? And, what do you see as far as trends going that make it so attractive that a lot of kids are signing up for activities? So when you say activities, you mean activities and sports?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So I'll let you comment on that.
Yep. So consistency is the key. I mean, it has not fluctuated a ton. We had that big jump, as you said, between 23, 24, and 24, 25. But even looking farther back, those numbers are pretty solid. And I think I attribute that to the philosophy we have at the middle school. Is the big thing is it's not about winning at the middle school. Of course, you like to win, but that's not what it's about. We also want students to join things that they're passionate about, whether it be the play, whether it be a musical, whether it be jazz band, whatever they're passionate about, whatever they enjoy. We want to see them do something outside of the school day to stay connected. We hit that hard our fifth grade parent night. We hit that hard whenever I talk to parents before registration. At my messaging that I sent out to families, I'm just always trying to throw that in front of them, saying, hey, get students involved. We know for a fact your students will enjoy coming to school more and do better if they are involved in something, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I think that consistent message, it just spreads, and it just has been something that people just sign up.
Question over here? No. Okay. Amy?
Thanks, Greg, for the presentation. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first is more of a statement. I was looking at the activities as well, and I think the numbers are good, but then I also think about, I wonder how many of their students are actually participating in activities that aren't school related. So like Purple Door Theater or 4-H or some athletic league that's separate, or and I would suggest finding a way of measuring that, even though it's important that people be connected to the school. I think just also a connection to the community at large is good. So it would give you a reason why you don't have as many students in the school after school, because they're off doing outside activities, which is also a good thing to do.
Yep. I agree with you, and I think that's a great suggestion that we can easily do to get those numbers as well. I have to see if we can kind of phase or kind of extrapolate students that do both school and community events, so you're not double counting maybe some of those type of thing. But you are exactly right. There's a lot of things that go on outside of our school, but still in our community, and there's only so much time in a day. So a lot of
Right.
times students will prioritize which one they want to do.
And we have a great community for activities.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on out
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
And do you not count the community school people in the activity numbers?
We did not. So they have
Maybe
those numbers.
something to think about, because they're staying at the
Yep,
school,
they
and
are. This
it
is
is
true.
definitely an activity, and let's move those numbers up.
Yeah.
So then I also had a question about thinking back to the spring. Remember, we were going through all the budget prioritization process, and you went through a lot of questions and machinations for us, and we were trying to figure out what to do with the middle school day, and there was talk about you continue looking into things, and as the school year went on, and I was just wondering if you could update us on sort of any lasting effects from that conversation we had last fall, or is it just things are working how they have been, which is good, and we're just moving forward?
Sure. So with our current schedule, I'll say there's some positives have come out of that, where when you simplify a schedule, students get everything pretty much. So really your choice is, it's either music or else you kind of get everything else. And so I think that's been a positive, because in the past, if you register for things and the classes got full, maybe you wanted art, you didn't get art. Well, now everyone gets art. So that piece has been a positive, as well as it was much, I hate to use the word easy, but we did a better job, is a better way of putting it, of being able to not track kids as much. So it was a whole lot simpler to make sure that our classrooms in general, ability-wise, just for differentiating purposes in classrooms, we were able to do, I believe, a better job of spreading students out, which I think has paid off dividends this year. One of the challenges, I will say, for this year so far, has been just kind of getting used to some of the classes are every day being every day, and the lack of flexibility with that. So if a student wants to drop a class, it's like, we don't have a class to offer you. You have to stay with this. This is what it is. That can be taken either way. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing or not. It's just a reality we've had. On the flip side of that, our teachers, Mr. Coleman for STEM, Amanda Miller for FACS, it's a lot more work, but they're seeing a whole lot of positives with the classes being every day versus every other day for continuity, for their teaching in general. They can add more to their curriculum. So speaking with both of them, they've actually enjoyed that. Oh, the one other thing I was going to say that was probably more on the, which is one of the reasons we're looking at the SEL, is when we did the reduction of 7th grade health and that our launch class no longer has all students in it. Those are the places that we did teach SEL. And so in 7th grade and in 6th grade, which is why we're looking at, okay, we need to do something obviously for those students. That's forced us to take a look at that and say, just take a fresh look at how we could be maybe doing this different on a larger scale versus just in one particular class. So to me, it's a challenge. I won't call it a negative. It's just a challenge. And with these challenges also comes opportunity. And I think there's going to be something even better that comes out of it.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear everything is actually going well
Yep.
with after all the conversations we had and all. That's excellent news. I have one more comment for you.
Amy, I'm going to have Dr. Hillman also share.
Oh.
So you had a couple of things there I wanted to weigh in on. One, I really appreciate you focusing on how can we capture the data for students who are participating in activities outside of school. This is something with the addition of the well-rounded component of the CACR report that we have looked at. How do we try to capture and maintain that data? We actually initially set a goal around that last year district-wide and found it was very difficult initially to be able to get a data set that would reflect all of the things that students participate. We're not giving up on that. We're going to continue to work on how do we create the infrastructure to be able to create that data set of whether I'm in Northfield Youth Choirs or I'm in the Cannon Valley Orchestra or I'm in a swim club, et cetera. We're working on that as a district. It's harder to do than you would think because we then would have to rely on self-reporting, and self-reporting isn't always the best data source. We're trying to work with community partners to see how could we create that holistic data set, because I do think that would likely tell an even more detailed picture of, I think would align with what we are perceiving, which is our students far more than even the 302 participating in the fall are involved in something. So I want you to know we're working on that, not just for the middle school, but across the system. And then I do want to come back to this piece around thinking about the middle school schedule in greater detail. And Greg and I have discussed this a number of times. I think we really did respond well to what we heard from the community during the budget process. But we also knew that we heard folks share similar words with us, but with very different meanings, right? In terms of, for me, use the word choice. So we heard quite a bit about the word choice, but in individual conversations with people, they actually meant different things with the word choice. And so, as Greg said, the current piece is there's exposure, right? There's a lot more exposure because there's less actual picking between classes because of the way that we've done the schedule with art being required. After we need to get the school year launched, we're to the MEA break this week. We've got another program review that we're doing this winter. And then after the first of the year, Greg and I are going to lead a group that is going to try to get what is the future vision of what we want out of the middle school schedule. We heard a lot about the 7-period day. The 7-period day may be exactly what we need forever. But when we're talking about in the budget perspective, I don't think that people weigh what the benefits of other schedules might be. I'm not saying we would select another schedule, but I think we can create outside of that budget process a more objective community group to come together and say, this is what we want for the experience for our middle schoolers, and this is the kind of schedule that would reflect that. So I heard a little bit about that. Greg explained what have we done in response, but I heard a little bit in your question about what are we going to do for the future of that. And we got to get the year up and rolling, and then we've got a couple other things, but we don't anticipate anything for next year. We're looking longer term with what would people expect in the community.
One last comment. Okay, this is just a comment as well. I think if you can find a way of encouraging more parents to respond to the parent survey, our numbers are going to go up because I think a lot of people just see a survey and they're like, oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Life's too busy. But if we can find a way for all the schools of just increasing that parent participation rate, I think we're all going to be really happy with what we see from our parents.
Totally agree.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Comment, question? Right, thank you, Greg.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I think we just need to pause from, I really appreciate, Claudia, you congratulating Greg and the team at the middle school on the National Blue Ribbon Award. I don't think we can really understate how significant this is, right? There's typically less than 10 schools each year in the state that were designated for that. And it is an affirmation of the strength of the academic achievement at Northfield Middle School and their ongoing work, which has been one of Greg's core principles since he has been in this role, to continue to work to reduce the achievement gap. And one of the things I really appreciate about the middle school is that they are willing to try things, see how it works, and then if it doesn't, what's next? And I think that that's really a great mindset for middle school in general. I am so disappointed that we aren't able to celebrate this award as it has been since 1982 with very little, in fact, zero advanced warning. I'm grateful to the Minnesota Department of Education, specifically Deputy Commissioner Stephanie Graff, who has been helpful for us to be able to be a communication vehicle for us to help us understand where that process was at. And we have faith that MDE will recognize these schools in a way that is commensurate with the really exceptional achievement that has happened. So, Greg, I want to congratulate you and the entire staff. This is a veteran staff that has worked very hard for years to make sure that students have what they need. This recognition is special. And when Greg says that I've done some AI searching too, going back, since the award is implemented. Recent history, no middle school had been recognized in both of those areas. That is significant. And so I want our community to understand, even though the rug was pulled out from under this award without any advanced warning, without allowing this particular year's process to be finished, it is just as special as if this would have involved sending a team of people to DC, as part of the award. No local funds spent on that, a number of other things. And so there are things that would typically have followed this that will be different. But in my mind, the middle school deserves that and more. So I think everybody should be congratulating the staff, the students, the families for this commitment to excellence that was really affirmed in this selection.
Thank you on behalf of the whole middle school staff. Thank you.
Okay, our next item is, I will be presenting the board with a revised check-in form. It's in your packet. I don't know if we could pull it up.
Yep.
Well, and so what the ad hoc committee is presenting the board is an opportunity to do a more informal check-in at the December mid-year evaluation. So rather than using the current tool, we're proposing that we use a tool similar to this. It's on an Excel or Google Sheets. And so each of the individual comments or spaces for response will be accommodated in one cell. And so the formatting, we can talk about that a little bit. Mostly I'm looking for you to spend some time on it. Let us know of any updates you'd like us to implement, or if you have any concerns with it, that you would share that with us either now or you can email us. But this is what we're proposing, a side-by-side where Dr. Hillman gives us a self-evaluation of where he's at the 6-month point or the mid-year point, and then each board member responding to his comments. And each board member would then send me those forms and I would compile a summary statement that I would present back to the board and the community. So Jeff or Amy, you're welcome to respond as people have questions or comments, or you can add anything. Yeah.
I would just say, as we talked about a little bit before, this is another path to follow from the School Board Association. We're just trying to do a refresh and try something a little bit different. So that's kind of my own comment. It's just kind of like, we just want to give this a try and come up with different things that we're going to evaluate, kind of more micro to take a look at it and get some feedback and just be more specialized in some specific questions and areas. So.
Want to add something, Amy? Go ahead.
So yes, we're just trying this out. It's partway through the year. There's no numbers, no ranking, no system. We're looking more for comments and feedback that's useful for Dr. Hillman. And we're also looking to make it a little less onerous than it used to be. I used to take me 2 hours or so to do the evaluation. So hopefully this will allow us to focus on Dr. Hillman's main areas, his focus areas for the year. And if we do have other comments, there is a general spot at the end. If you have other concerns about how many other areas are you in charge of? 50 some areas. We can bring them up then. And by no means should you assume that this is how it's going to be forever, because when we get back to June, we're going to do the same thing that we've done every other year. But this is just a chance for us to test drive something a little different and then maybe tweak it going forward for mid-year evaluations.
Thank you. So, like I said, you can give a comment now or you can email us. Any comments or questions on the other board members? Okay, excellent. Thank you. We'll move on to item D, which is our Special Services FTE request. Director of Special Services, Sarah Pratt, will present the need.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am just here to respectfully request your consideration for approval of one additional FTE at 6.75 hours per day of a special educational paraprofessional at Bridgewater Elementary. Our special ed leadership team, along with building principal collaboration, has spent the last 5 to 6 weeks just kind of reviewing student needs once the school year got started and our staffing allocations. And we have shifted EA allocation across the district where we could, but due to some increased enrollment that came to us within the few weeks of right prior to school starting, specifically with a handful of students who have pretty significant complex medical, self-care, and safety needs. I am asking you to consider the addition of one paraprofessional or educational assistant. And the total cost of salary and benefits would be $52,529, but with the state reimbursement, the total cost would be around $23,656 at this time. So, any questions or?
Any questions or comments at this point? Okay, Ben.
Thank you, Sarah. It sounds like we have these students enrolled right now. Is that correct? So it's
Yes.
fairly
Yep.
emergent need, or I mean,
Yes.
an urgent need, emergent and
Yeah,
urgent.
they're here. Yeah.
I just wonder if the board, if it wouldn't be helpful to move this as an item to action, just to speed up that process for this evening.
Would that be helpful to you, Sarah?
That would be helpful. Certainly not expected, but it would be appreciated.
Is that a motion?
It could be. I move.
So state the motion and I'll give you a second.
Yeah, I would move to, let me structure this correctly. Yes, add this as an action item, the request to hire an additional non-licensed special education staff at Bridgewater.
Second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will add that to the items for action tonight.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is the policy committee recommendations, and Dr. Hillman will present us with updates to policies 448, 504, 508, 510, and 511.
Yes, the 500 series that you have this evening are part of our regular review process. So you see in tonight's packet, we have proposed revisions for student dress and appearance, extended school year, school activities, and student fundraising. You'll see in most of these cases, it is formatting, updating legal references, and updating the purpose statement. So in general, for those 4 policies, very similar to what they were in the past, just some updates from the committee to really reflect the work that we've been doing on updating purpose statements to align with our vision and strategic commitments, and then also to make sure that we have the most recent legal references. You'll also see that we're doing some improvements, for example, in policy 510, where we're referencing other policies and giving links to those so that when there are cross references, that they're easily discernible when you're looking at the policy. We want to point out the policy 448, the district paid maternity leave. That really is adding a statement at the bottom of the policy to integrate it beginning in January 2026 with the new Minnesota paid family leave program. So as you know, we have been providing for the last several years 8 weeks of maternity leave for people who qualify, where those leave days do not come from their personal sick leave accrual. What this will do is it will braid it, if you will, with the new Minnesota paid family leave program, so that the district will cover, again, without the employee needing to use any of their accrued sick leave. We will cover the balance of what the Minnesota paid leave program does not cover. So the process would be that when there is someone who has, when we've had a parent who's had a child, they will be able to access those 8 weeks. They will first apply through the Minnesota paid leave program. Whatever the state doesn't cover from that would then be covered by the district. So the employee is obviously held harmless, but we're taking advantage of the new state plan. We are not asking for approval this evening, but we are just bringing these forward for the first reading. Be happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions on any of the policies? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next is our consent agenda. And as a reminder, there were some personnel items in the table file added to that consent grouping. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent grouping for separate consideration? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent grouping?
Motion.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Ben. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Next is our items for individual action, and we have the motion. I'll go ahead and move to add a special ed assistant, personal care assistant at Bridgewater Elementary School for 6.75 hours per day with a district cost of $23,656 after salary reimbursement. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Corey. Are there any comments or questions at this point? All right. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next are our items for information, and there are several here, and there's additional details in the packet and in the memorandum. We have an enrollment report first from Dr. Hellman, which will review the October 2025 enrollment report.
Yes, and I'm going to show you the enrollment report from the end of last year as well. So what I have here on the left-hand side is you'll see that final end of year report. That's the one that you saw last June. And the right is the latest update that we have, which is really the all-important October 1st date. Remember, a lot of our funding is based upon the data that is around October 1st. Of course, there's a multi-year situation where the state cleans up that enrollment, but this is really important for the revenue that we receive for this year. A couple of key highlights I want to show is that number one, we're 14 students above what Director of Finance Val Murdersdorf projected last spring. It's a net update, I believe, of we're actually up 8 students. We're projecting a small decline. What the data shows, we're actually up 8 students so far. Now, beginning of the year, it's not uncommon to see that change throughout. What I want to point out is we are seeing some interesting Spring Creek net zero. So as of October 1st, Spring Creek has the same number of students that they had at the end of last year. Bridgewater down 18 compared to last year. Bridgewater has had the largest elementary enrollment for a long time. So we have expected to see some decline at that school along with the rest of the district based on our demographics. Greenville Park at 500 students again. So Greenville Park up 14 this year. The middle school has seen so far the largest net increase in terms of that they have 32 students this year more than what they had at the end of last year. High school fairly stable comparative October 1 to end of last year, up 7. So the other pieces in this report, there's a lot of up and down, not uncommon at the beginning of the year to see fewer students at the NCEC. There are more and more students who qualify, especially for early childhood special education throughout the year. And then we also see some substantial fluctuation with the ALC as the year goes on, as more students may transfer from doing some of their work at the high school to the ALC or completely completing the year at the ALC. So that is the enrollment report. I'd be happy to stand for any questions at this time.
Board members, do you have any questions on the enrollment report? None at this time. Thank you. Next is the construction update, number 16. Would you like to give an update, Dr. Hillman, or let it stand?
I will leave the report stand and take any questions that board members have.
Is at this time. Okay, Amy.
I just am hoping you would talk about the geothermal.
Yes, so we're very pleased that we did receive the geothermal test report. Originally, some of the initial projections were looking that there would need to be 11 wells. I remember if we were using a traditional well system, the estimate was to have over 1,000 wells. We are planning to use the Darcy system, which is a very efficient system. What happens is in a Darcy system, you drill down much further into the earth than you would with a traditional geothermal well system. The initial estimate was we would need 11 wells in that Darcy system. The report revealed for full geothermal utilization, we would have needed 10 wells. And what we are looking at doing is following some of the things that we've seen some other really pioneers in geothermal technology do, especially in the upper Midwest, where we potentially could even have as few as 8 wells and partnering those with high efficiency boilers so that we are both, we're having some redundancy. And normally you say, well, why would you want redundancy? With heating, you always want redundancy in Minnesota. And so it would take the pressure off of those geothermal wells and also have that backup system that we might need. Typically, when you see systems like this that are partnered, you see very little boiler use outside of the coldest months in the winter. Cooling, very different. But so we're still determining what the number of wells will be. The good news is it's less than what had initially been projected based upon the size of the building, et cetera.
And the wells would be out on one of the practice fields? Or?
You know, they're still determining the location, but where it looks like it will very likely be, if you think about where the football practice fields are today. So it would be just to the, would that be, let's see, to the east of the stadium. So if you look in that area, that's likely, it will not look exactly the same as it does today, but that's the general vicinity that they were looking along the drive in from Division Street, you know, toward the gymnasium entrance.
So they have options. So that's good news.
There are options, yes.
All
Yep. In general, that's the space where they're going to look at doing it, but the final determinations are yet to be determined.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff.
When you put those wells there, are they all underground and you don't lose the practice space?
Correct.
Okay.
Questions? Excellent. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Our next item of information is the Retired Educators Luncheon. Board members are invited to attend the district's annual Retired Educators Luncheon on Friday, October 24th. The luncheon will be held at Ruth's on Stamford beginning at 11:30. If you plan to attend, please let Kelly know tonight or no later than tomorrow, October 15th. Item D is ALC Director Daryl Keller will summarize the 2025-26 Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Plan at the public hearing scheduled at 5:15 Monday, November 10th, preceding the regular school board meeting. And this week is National School Lunch Week. National School Lunch Week will be celebrated. The school lunch program serves nearly 30 million children every school day. President John F. Kennedy created National School Lunch Week in 1962 to promote the importance of a healthy school lunch in a child's life and impact it has inside and outside the classroom. We very much appreciate and thank all our nutrition staff in our district. And National School Bus Safety Week is the following week. School buses are the safest way for children to get to school. Their design is meant to be safer than any passenger vehicle in avoiding crashes and preventing injuries. Teaching children to follow safety rules on the bus is important as it is informing drivers about the laws regarding school buses. We appreciate and thank Benjamin Bus and their drivers for their continual support and partnership with Northfield Public Schools. Item 9 is our future meetings. We will have regular meetings on Monday, October 27, November 10, November 24, all at 6 p.m. in this space, the district office boardroom. We are going to move into a closed session now, and so we'll invite our members of the community to step out of the space. Following the closed session, we will move to adjourn the regular meeting. This session will be closed as permitted by Minnesota Statute 13D 7:03 to discuss labor negotiations. And we'll take a quick break and be back in like 5 minutes. All right, I move that we take a quick break and be back at 7:31 or second. Thank you, Maggie. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll take a little break.